Super Rugby Round 4, the game we've all been waiting for, truly lived up to the hype. Brumbies vs Reds in GIO Stadium in Canberra. Oh man, I just finished watching the game. It's just, I have such high hopes for the future of Australian rugby from this game. The amount of talent from both teams is just, we haven't seen talent of this level for probably like decades, right? Probably since the early 2000s have we seen so much talent in Australian Super Rugby teams. And just the resilience, just the desire, the intensity is just, I haven't seen it in Super Rugby from Australian teams, like honestly, since the early 2000s. And it's just unbelievable how both teams put it all on the line to try to win this game. It's just, this game, there's more action in this game in an entire weekend of Six Nations. Both teams threw the kitchen sink at each other, and in an 80-minute game, it's almost 78 points scored in an 80-minute game. So there's almost 1 point scored every minute. Both teams just absolutely throwing everything at each other. And I am so proud of Australian rugby. I am so proud of Brad Thorne doing all the great work he's done for the Reds. And James O'Connor really turned his life around and, you know, really become the chosen one that we all thought he was going to be when he finished school from Naji College in Brisbane. We all thought he was going to be the next big thing. And then he had his hiatus. He took it, you know, he took himself, he let himself go. He went to Europe. And now he's back, truly living up to everyone's expectations we have for him when he was in school. You know, homegrown Brisbane boy from Naji College. Well, man, what can I say? It's just truly one of the best Super Rugby games I have ever watched. Now, so let's see what happened in the game, right? So there's so much that happened in the game. This video is probably going to go for an hour. So I'm going to try to cut it down as much as I can. And if you haven't seen the game, go watch it. It's going to just, it's just going to be, if you're going to watch one game this weekend, watch this one, okay? Don't worry, trust me. England-France hasn't happened, but you're going to get more entertainment out of this one than an England versus France game, okay? Trust me on that. So, game starts, Brumbies coming out of the starting line, just straight off the kickoff, James O'Connor got the ball, and his return kick wasn't very good. Straight off the bat, Brumbies had a line-out throw at about the 20-22 meter mark. And the Brumbies have the best line-outs in Super Rugby. Like, including South Africa, they probably have the best line-out. And what they're pretty much famous for is the line-out maul. And sure enough, there was a few phases. 6 minutes into the game, there was an overlap on the sideline. And Samu goes over, pretty much goes over for the first try, 5 minutes into the game. And the Reds are looking down, right? And anyway, Lolesio kicks conversion, 7-0, right away off the bat. Brumbies are leading. And at this point, the Reds are kind of like trying to like regroup, look a little bit like out of their feet, look a little bit like shell-shocked. And you know, you're like, okay, Reds are gonna get together. Otherwise, this is not gonna be looking very good. About another 5 minutes later, Brumbies had another opportunity, and it's pretty much like a very similar situation as well. Just the Reds just didn't look like they were like in the game at this point. And Faianga scores a try for the Brumbies. I think there's so many tries scored in this game. I'm not even sure how he scored it. I can just see on the notes that he scored But I think he just went. How did he score this one? I think he went to the. I think again it's an overlap, and they just scored on the sideline. Scored on the sideline with Faenga, and then the conversion was good. So Brumbies are 14-0 up. Okay, at this point, 14-0 up in less than 12 minutes. Okay, it's more than 1 point a minute at this point. And then at this point, the Reds are looking like completely shaken. All right, and you're just like, all right, everybody's gonna calm down. I think the Reds had the ball in the Brumbies half at this point, and I think at this point, Reds were like had a full-on penalty right in front. And I think this is the one mistake the Reds made, and which they did correct. They had a penalty right in front. They were 2 tries down. Instead of going for this is a very kickable point. Instead of going for 3 and just calm the game down and try to slow down the momentum of the Brumbies and put some scoreboard pressure in the game, they decided to go for the for the try, and Brumbies kind of and they basically failed to score, and Brumbies basically turned it around. Couple minutes later, once again, Brumbies were on the loose, and they scored. I think what happened was, let me just see what happened. Yeah, so Brumbies scored 2 tries and a penalty. And the Reds, instead of settling the game down, the Reds tried to score a try, and then they just got completely snuffed out. And then a few more minutes later, the Reds kind of realized, okay, if we just try, we've got to settle the game down. They got another penalty, and this time they chose to take the kick. And the commentators were kind of like, you should have just gone for the try, because you're 17 points down, 17-0 down. And it's only almost 20 minutes in the game, 17 minutes into the game. You wanted to catch up, but no, the Reds really, James O'Connor as the captain really managed the game, because he knows that putting scoreboard pressure on the board is really, really important. This is something that I've criticized the Wallabies for doing. Michael Hooper tends to make this mistake as a captain for the Wallabies, where you're 1 or 2 tries down early in the game, and you just try to rush your way back into the game, and only to lead to you're rushing all the plays, and then you're missing out, you're dropping the balls. And then you generally just get, and since the momentum hasn't gone your way yet, you generally just end up, not converting the opportunity into points. So Michael Hooper kind of made that mistakes with the Wallabies a lot, especially against the All Blacks, last year. So James O'Connor really just went, okay, let's calm down. We'll take the 3. So the Reds had a couple penalties. James O'Connor converted both of them. So the score is 17-6 at 23 minutes. And then finally, the Reds kept on building and managed to get James O'Connor just... James O'Connor got the ball. He made a half rake down the right hand sideline, and then he just kind of draw and pass to I think it was to Hunter. Hunter drew and passed again to I think it was might have been Dogunu, and then Dogunu was just drew and passed again with Vunivalu right on the side, and this is literally the first time Vunivalu got the ball, and he just he was just too big and too fast, and runs over the side just crushes over the line on the sideline. The Reds got their first try, and this was the opening try for Vunivalu. So Vunivalu, if you don't know, he's a rugby league player. I don't know his career in rugby league. So he just switched to rugby union, and he really has the physique, and has the speed. He's really fast. He's really fast. He really has the physique and athleticism to really finish. Do exactly what he just did for this try, just to finish being the finisher and score, right? So he looked like $1 million, literally. He got the ball, kind of did a few steps, rolled over the try line, just scored. He didn't look like he was gonna get stopped, And James O'Connor converted well, I'll come back to him in a bit. James O'Connor converted the try, and the score was 17-13, all right? And then Brumbies, right off the kickoff, I think the Reds might have dropped the ball, and Brumbies just hit right back at the Reds. 3 minutes later, P. Samu goes over for his second try on the opposite corner of the field. And it's just, again, this time actually is Vinivalu actually made a mistake in defense. He was supposed to cover P. Samu, and he drifted in and left P. Samu out wide open, and Samu just trampled over the side, like, you know, tiptoed on the sideline over the try line and scored for the Brumbies. And straight away, Brumbies went back up to 23-13. Lolosio, the number 10 from Brumbies, gets the conversion, and 24-13. And the last minute of the play before halftime, there was a full-on penalty for the Reds, and James O'Connor again tried to keep the game as close as possible. Took the 3 at halftime. Reds 24-16. So the first half was basically the Brumbies just got out a really quick head start, and the Reds just been slowly chipping away, catching up. So the halftime analysis by Michael Cheika, I thought he actually made a really good point, and this was like a big issue that you can see from the Reds defense. So the 2 tries that happened, 3 tries, 2 of them happened, actually had a direct correlation to the new player Vinivalu being out of position, basically. So I remember now, the second try was a try from Faianga. I think he's the hooker. There was like a ruck, and basically Vinivalu was supposed to be the guy there was a forward called the pillar right next to the ruck, and he was supposed to be the first person out from the pillar to guard the ruck. And basically the pillar, the forward, got dragged into the ruck. So Vinivalu was supposed to move in to cover the pillar position off the ruck, and he was just like unaware of that the gap that he needs to cover. Basically, it's a gap that's normally covered by a forward, but like you as a back, you would never, you generally don't go there. But the fact that the pillar position was dragged into the maul, and so it was just left a massive gap between the ruck and the first defender, which was Vinivalu. So he didn't move in. That's how the Brumbies scored the second try, where the Vaianga just grabbed the ball, pick and run, and then he was just too close, too strong, and he was in good body position, crashed over for the try. Could not stop that. And especially when Vinivalu wasn't preparing to make a tackle in that spot. And the third try, which was also Vinivalu's issue, again showed his inexperience on the field for playing rugby union. He again, Michael Cheika pointed out it was supposed to be man-on-man mark. James O'Connor had the inside man, and Vinivalu was supposed to guard the outside man, which is the try scorer Samu. And he just when O'Connor went in for the tackle, he kind of just drifted in, because I guess he just drifted in. He wasn't aware that there was another guy kind of to the outside of him, and then just left too much space for Samu to just run over it, run down the sideline. So both these tries were just Vinivalu's inexperience. He kind of reminds me of the old Israel Folau, who's really kind of good when he has the ball, when he runs the ball, but in general play of rugby union, you can tell he's kind of still trying to figure out where he needs to be a lot of the times. And there was a few times in the game where high balls were kicked to Vinivalu, and he just was just am I supposed to getting it? I'm not. And he just let the ball bounce, right? He wasn't sure he was supposed to get it, and it was just obvious that he wasn't, it's just something that he's not used to playing in union. And when he came off the field second half, a lot of those holes were actually just fixed for the Reds. You didn't see as much of it's just like the Brumbies really had to work hard to score points in the second half, like much harder to score points in the second half than they did in the first half, as the defense just seemed to be a lot more like coordinated for the red side. Anyway, second half started. Again, Brumbies scored right off the bat in the second half. 6 minutes in, Faenga, the hooker, again. I think Faenga's the hooker. But anyway, 6 minutes in, Folau Faenga scores for the Brumbies. I think it's from a classic Brumbies maul. Basically, yeah, like just the maul. And it was just clinical. Absolutely clinical, beautiful maul. Line out, comes in. Faenga got the ball at the back. And the Reds defense kind of stalled, and then the maul just rolled and then split the Reds. Just the perfect execution. Just split the Reds defense, like the defense in half in the maul, and nobody knows where the ball is. And Faenga just kind of like, you can see it. He is smiling. He was smiling before he even scored a try. He can see the try line, and he was smiling like no one knows where he was. And he just like the maul split open, like parting the Red Sea. Faenga just went, Poop! Thank you very much. I'll take the try. And yeah, it was just beautiful play for the Brumbies. And the Reds, after that try, the Reds really tried to like pick up the intensity at this point. This was on the 47 minutes, and Noah Lolosio kicks conversion, putting the Brumbies to 31 points to 16. Again, the Reds are falling, more than almost 2 tries behind at this point, like 1 try and a half. So you're just like doing the maths, like what are you gonna do to come back? And at this point, a lot of the Brumbies substitutions are coming on, and the Reds, and this is when like the Thunder God himself, they call him Thor, the Tongan Thor, the Thunder God himself, the tight hair prop for the Reds, Tanela Tupou, right? The God himself starts to like show why he's the God amongst men, right? The Red scrum just started to like annihilate the Brumbies scrum. Like every scrum there was just annihilating. I think there was a tight head, just like Brumbies scrum just got split in half. The Brumbies reserve props came on, I think, at this point. The Brumbies, the Tupou just having already played the first half, by the way, he's not substituted on. He's been playing the whole game. The Brumbies reserves came on, full, like fresh reserves, just got annihilated. It was just, I think it was a full on, like, he must have got like 2 or 3 turnovers, just tight head wins from just Tupou being the God himself, right? It is just so good. Not only that, he's just destroying the Brumbies in scrums. In the 61st minute, after I think a scrum turnover, the Reds were just building momentum and just hitting the Brumbies try line, and the Thunder God himself, the Tongan Thor, picks up the ball, drives over. The referee has to run into really close to see that he like there was a lot of people partying on top. The referee ran in, and he looked into the pile, and he saw the ball down and gave it a try. Tanela Tupou. Jesus Christ. At this point, it was just like the forwards was just game over. When Brumbies reserve props came on, it was just game over. It was just over. The Tupou was so far ahead of these other props. The Reds, every time the Reds got a penalty, from this point forward, they either went for a conversion for 3 points to get close to the gap, or they went for instead of a line out, they went for a scrum, and then they will use the scrum to get a full-on penalty because Super will destroy the scrum, and then we'll get a full-on penalty, and then they will try to make a move out of scrum to score, and that was basically what was happening. And not long later, after Tupou scored, O'Connor converted the try. About 5 minutes later, again, with the scrum just absolutely dominating, the Reds were just getting full-on penalties right in front of the sticks, in front of Brumbies. And this time, Harry Wilson was able to capitalize and score a try, closing the gap to 31-28. And this is 67th minute, approaching 70. James O'Connor gets the conversion. 69th minute, 31-30 with 10 minutes to go, right? And at this point, like, the Reds really look like they're starting to dominate. Every time there was a scrum, Brumbies were just fell apart. And the referee was just like teetering on giving like yellow cards or penalty tries for the Reds because how badly the Brumbies were just getting destroyed and they were not able to hold up the scrum. And I think, in fact, Brumbies, when Brumbies had their own scrums, they were at risk of losing it. Like, they might have lost at least two. From what they lost one, maybe two. Yeah, they lost at least two of their own feed in the scrum in the second half. 2 Tenella Tupou, by the way. It was just insane. And then, so Brumbies, 1 point behind, and you're thinking, okay, Reds is probably going to pull ahead from this point forward. Nope. Brumbies hit right back. 71st minute, like right from the kickoff, there was a mistake made by Reds. I think O'Connor might be going to drop the ball. And there was the Brumbies got the ball and basically scored a try from the Reds' mistake. 71st minute, 36-30. A new guy came on, Ryan Lonergan, who kicked the winning goal last week. Ryan Lonergan came on. He puts the ball down, converts the try, and I'm pretty sure this try was like right on the sideline as well. Isaac Fine scored right on the sideline as well, so it was a bit of a tough kick, but yeah, the Ryan Lonergan kicks the conversion. Yeah, it was kind of like a bit of a defensive mix up there in the Reds. The Reds were kind of caught off guard because they kind of like just scored, and they were just kind of like the kickoff happened and there was a mistake, and the Reds kind of just like caught off guard a little bit. And yeah, straight down the sideline, Isaac Fine scored a try, 36-30, converted, 38-30. Ryan Lonergan, 100% kick rate, 73 minutes with only 73 minutes with 7 minutes left in the match, and the Reds are 1 try and 1 point behind, so 8 points behind, and it's just like so down to the wire. Like, you just don't know what's gonna happen. How is the Reds gonna score a try and a little bit more points to win the game? So 3 minutes later, there was a full-on penalty from a scrum. I believe it was this might have been from a scrum. Full-on penalty right in front of the sticks. About 35 minutes out, James O'Connor decides to take the conversion. The commentators were like criticizing him for this decision. They're like, "Oh, come on! You have 4 minutes left. You have the momentum. You should just try to get the try now, and then take the conversion. Try to get a conversion or drop goal later." But no, James O'Connor managed the game. All props to him. Managed the game perfectly well. Did not make the mistake that Michael Hooper makes a lot in the with the Wallabies. Like, James O'Connor had the confidence of the team to score one more try, and he just needed the team to be in range to win the game. So he kicks conversion at 76 minutes, 38-33, 5 points behind. The Reds need one more try to win the game. And I think there was a few things happened. I think there was another penalty. Yeah, there were a few penalties. Again, the Reds, this time instead of going for... Okay, I think this will happen, right? There was a knock-on. There was a knock-on for the Brumbies. The Reds kicked the ball out. Brumbies knocked on, right? And then everyone was just like, "Oh no, this is literally the worst thing you could possibly happen." Brumbies knocked on in their own heart, 30 meters out from their own try line. Scrum. And guess what? Reds, instant full-on penalty. Danila Tupou absolutely destroys the Brumbies scrum. Full-on penalty to the Reds. And this time, instead of like going for another scrum, the Reds decides to go for go kick the ball out, 10-meter line out for the Reds for the win. 2 minutes left on the clock, 2.5 minutes left on the clock. The line out comes in perfectly. There was more. The Brumbies kind of stopped it, didn't go anywhere. Reds shift the ball out. O'Connor passes the ball to Pasami. It was Pasami next to Jordan Patea. Pasami decided to grab a kick through. Jordan Patea runs to chase little grubber kicks through just to the end zone. Jordan Patea is chasing the ball, right? And the ball bounced in a weird angle so that you went. So like this was the goalpost. So the ball, instead of going, Pasami was aiming like between the goalposts, like kind of the ball, kind of like so if this was like the goalpost, the ball was supposed to go like, he was kind of aiming like between the goalposts, but the ball just bounced in the awkward direction and went out in front of goalposts like this. And Jordan Patea was coming in this way, right? And he was supposed to catch the ball like kind of here and scores like under the sticks. But because the ball bounced awkwardly like this way, you're like, oh no, he's not going to get the ball. And everyone I think watching was just like, oh no, that's such a weird bounce. But Jordan Patea, he grabbed the post, flings himself kind of like around a little bit, and then he actually reaches out and grounds the ball. Despite the awkward bounce, he managed to like flung himself a little bit around the goalpost and grounds the ball for a try under the sticks. 38-30, 78 and a half minutes with a minute and a half to go. James O'Connor had a kick right in front, kicks the conversion. 38-40 to the Reds. For the first time in this game, the Reds took the lead. I mean, if you talk about teams never giving up, the Reds is Rocky IV, right? Like, you never give up. You just keep going and keep going and keep going. And there was a minute left on the clock. Okay, the drama kind of didn't stop here. Brumbies kickoff. Right away, the Reds dropped it. the Reds drops the ball, and Brumbies get the ball back. And you're like, oh no, this is not looking good. Brumbies got the ball back just outside the Reds 22. And you're like, oh, if anything, like any like kind of full-on penalty, anything, the Brumbies are going to take this by 1 point, right? And the Brumbies spins the ball out wide. I think it was Pasami again. Might have been, yeah, I think it was Pasami. God, he's so good. The Brumby, I think, the Brumby player runs into Pasami, and Pasami just stripped the ball off of him. Knock on Brumbies. Reds gets the ball back. Didn't even have to like do the scrum. Gets the ball back. The hooter goes off, but the clock on the in the TV feed had 30 seconds left. But the hooter on the field goes off, and the Reds Tanela Tupou gets the ball and he kicks it out, and the ref goes, all right, that's the end of the game. End of the game, despite the fact that the clock on TV said it was like 30 seconds left. But I think the Reds, like, the hooter goes off on the field. That's the official timer. But yeah, final score 40-38. Very proud of the boys, man. Very proud of the boys. Queensland Reds, Brad Thorne, doing some God's work there, Brad Thorne. Australian Rugby, Brad Thorne, former All Blacks, former Super Rugby World Cup winner, Super 14 winner, Australian Sportsman of the Year, NRL, Rugby League NRL Grand Finalist, and winners for the Brisbane Broncos. Brad Thorne has won cups in Europe. He's won State of Origin. And he's going to save Australian rugby. I don't know. I've just been 30 minutes and I haven't done the game justice, okay? I've been talking for 30 minutes, and if you have time, go watch this game. It's unbelievable. I am so proud of the performance from Queensland Reds. So many years in the past where, especially in Super Rugby levels, if you fall behind, you kind of just, a lot of teams just falls apart, like further behind, falls apart. And, it takes, only the Crusaders have consistently been able to pull themselves back from the depths of, losing a game. And we've seen that in the Queensland Reds. Massive comeback. In fact, the Reds were behind against the Rebels 2 weeks ago, only just took took over the lead 2 minutes before the end. The only game the Reds were winning for the entire duration was against the Waratahs. And so that's 2 games in a row where the Reds were down for pretty much the entire game and only to win at the final few minutes of the game. 2 games in a row, back to back. Just resilience, guts, Brad Thorne really teaching these players what it means to be champions. And the teams are so young. Like, except, all these players are just going to be future Wallaby superstars. And, under the tutelage of Brad Thorne, they're going to hopefully, they will learn all the, hard work, ethic from Brad Thorne, all the experience he had with the All Blacks, with the Crusaders. Hopefully he's going to inject that into the Reds, into the future of Australian rugby. And I'm so happy. So happy for it. Thanks for watching this video, guys. I'm going to cool off a little bit. Probably go wash my face. Maybe have a cold shower. And thanks for watching this video. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.